Welcome back. You know what that means. That is the sound of. Yes. Welcome back, y'all. Welcome back. This is the Forecast with Jim Rico. And I'm so thankful to be here. Thanks that you're listening. Got a special treat. You know, last week we had our first official studio guest in here, although we've had other guests. Yet last week we had Reverend Raj in here. We were following up with Try God. And this week we have another special guest. So let me just go ahead and stop this because, you know, we didn't come here to hear music. But I just want to go ahead and let you guys know that I do not own the rights to any of the music that you hear in this show. So let that be known. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. I want to welcome our studio guest. Today we have Def Jeff in the house.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, welcome, Def Jeff. So let me go ahead and give you some backdrop on here. So I met Def Jeff several years ago, and we became Facebook friends. And throughout, and I'm just going to tell the truth too, Jeff. Okay,
hey, go ahead, do your thing.
So throughout the years, over different posts that I had made, some of the responses that I got from Def Jeff were like, "Okay, Jeff, are we on the same page?" You know, those were my thinking, and so it kind of literally a week ago or so, I said, you know, Jeff, you're borderlining on something I'm not recognizing, you know, and I was like, maybe I should see if Jeff wants to come into the studio. So if you've ever had somebody on Facebook that has responded to any of your posts and you wanted to get them in the same room and talk about what they want to talk about, this is it. This is that show, because this is how that happened. So I'm just completely breaking away from normal format, because the forecast is about talking about things that we don't talk about. You know, you meet people on Facebook that you don't know, you friend them, and people like your stuff, they don't like it, they have comments, but we don't have the opportunity to follow up and maybe discuss what our differences are. And that's one of the problems that we have. You know, we're not talking enough, right? We're not talking about the things that differentiate us from each other. And the things that are differentiating us from one another are so small because we all bleed the same thing. You know, we most of the time have the same thoughts about some of the same things, but it's just the opinions, which an opinion is just that. It's someone's opinion. Whether it's an educated opinion, whether it's a non-educated opinion, it is that person's own thoughts. And so I invited Jeff into the studio today to talk. And
yeah,
that's what we're going to do.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready to talk. I'm ready,
Jeff.
I'm ready to get it out there.
Ready. All right. So, Jeff,
Yes.
and I'm just going to start with this. Obviously, you're African-American.
Right.
Okay. And where are you from?
Lenore, North Carolina.
Lenore, North Carolina. Okay. I'm familiar with that. And I'm assuming that you, with all of your opinions and your posts, that you definitely have a strong opinion about politics.
Yes, I do.
Okay. And I heard something the other day, and I'm just going to put it to you right now. I heard that you were a Trump supporter.
Well, let me clarify this. And I want everybody to understand and hear me close, okay? First of all, we have two parties. I could care less about either party. I do support some of Trump's, some of his visions, some of them, not all of them. Certain things I pick and choose out, and certain things for the Democratic Party that I agree with as well. Like I said, so I'm kind of like in between. Somebody said I was a Trump supporter. Somebody said that I'm independent or whatever. Think what you want to think. Just because I agree with a certain policy as far as Trump goes doesn't necessarily mean I'm a Trump supporter. I can agree with some of the policies and I can disagree with some of the policies. So it's all about opinion, okay? One thing is I do support the immigration policy. Why? Because I don't think that, you know, immigrants coming across our border should be entitled to the benefits that hardworking Americans have earned each and every day. I do not agree with that at all. And I feel like that, hey, If you want to come across the border, do it legally, and you go through the process and do it. Then hey, you're a citizen. You're entitled to everything a regular citizen does, but not come across the border illegally. You haven't worked one day in here, and you're getting every benefit that there is offered to regular Americans. Disabled veterans are homeless. You got people getting Social Security, it's difficult trying to get it, and the government is just not doing what they're supposed to do by the American people. But you got immigrants coming over here from other countries, fleeing their countries from all this disparities going on, and they're getting the red carpet treatment. I have a heartburn with that.
Okay, and if I'm understanding you correctly, and you did not answer my question, but that's okay. That's okay. But you are a veteran, correct?
Yes,
you are a military veteran, disabled veteran. Yes. Thank you for your service. Mm-hmm. But for those that are listening, whenever we hear about an African American supporting Donald Trump or even the Republican Party, there's a dissent among those who find out this information. And the first thing is like, what is wrong with you? Like, how can you support this? And I'm listening to you now, and, like a lot of people, I support a lot of things that the Republican Party and or the Democratic Party populates itself or platforms itself on. Me, myself, I'm a registered Democrat, and that's going to change because I, too, do not agree with some of the policies of the Democrats. I think that the Democrats could have done a better job in this election, and I, too, have some of my thoughts about government. And I just think overall that we could do better for Americans as a whole. So, but that said, do you mind sharing if you voted for Donald Trump in the presidential election?
I actually did not vote.
You did not vote?
I actually did not vote.
Okay, Jeff. All right. Now, we're going to stop it right there. We're going to stop it right there. Now.
No, hold on. Let's not stop right there. Because, see, I know people who support the Democratic Party, but they said they're independent. But their views go towards the Democratic Party. So you can't really fault me for that.
I'm not here to place blame. Mm-hmm. We're having our Facebook out. Right here.
Right.
This is our Facebook feud right here on the Jim Rico Show.
That's what I'm here for.
So, okay. For me.
Well, let me stop you for a second.
Okay.
Now, I do not agree at all with this federal policy, the federal worker policy. I do not agree at all with Donald Trump on that. I don't.
I'm cool with policies. I don't want to necessarily get into policies because we could talk all day. The show, we don't have that because there's so many policies and what everybody has an opinion. But what I do want to talk about is that because you are so highly opinionated, mm-hmm. and the fact that you chose to not exercise your right to vote. Now, for me as an African American man, okay, and for me understanding the history mm-hmm. behind the African American and voting in the United States, when I meet someone who says that they choose to not to exercise their right to vote, I'm going to say that not necessarily I have a problem with it, but Jeff, I really do.
Okay.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me finish.
Okay.
Because in some southern states, all right, to this day, mm-hmm. and even in North Carolina mm-hmm. with gerrymandering, mm-hmm. okay, mm-hmm. there's a concerted effort by those who understand the democratic process mm-hmm. that votes win, that the most votes win. That's how this country was built on. The most votes win. So when you don't vote, when you take yourself out of the equation, when you completely remove yourself, absolve yourself of the democratic process, meaning you take your voice out of it.
Right.
I don't understand how you can be so, and I'm talking to you this time now, mm-hmm. the
okay.
you for you.
I got it. Hey,
how can you be so opinionated, but when you had an opportunity to vote, you said, nah, I'm going to sit this one out.
Well, okay, let me back up a little bit here, okay? Let me ask you a question. Reason why I decided not to vote because I realized our vote didn't have the impact that I thought it would have. I thought I was wasting my time, and I'm gonna tell you why. when Bernie Sanders ran for president in the primary against Kamala Harris, I mean not Kamala Harris, it was Hillary Clinton. What happened with that primary? A lot of people say Bernie Sanders got cheated out of that primary. I'm like, okay, if people voted for him, how did the person come in that did nobody vote win that primary? On top of, how did Kamala Harris become the Democratic nominee?
Okay, Jeff, it's Kamala.
I'm sorry, Kamala. How did she become the Democratic nominee? Was there a primary done for her? No, she was put in there by the top Democrats saying she's going to be the candidate. Nobody voted for her to be the candidate. They just said, hey, this is who you're voting for. So that's what I'm saying. If voting was so important, why we was not allowed to vote Kamala Harris in as a candidate?
Okay, so all right, so I'm going to let's talk about that then. So after the great debate, all right, which we all know about, or those of us who paid any attention to it, between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and when Biden had what I call the brain fart. I mean, we all get them where we lose our train of thought, and it's like, birds, Unfortunately for Joe Biden, this happened on a world stage.
Okay.
And the chatter surrounding his age at the time, in which he isn't that much older than Donald Trump.
Right.
But the questions about his mental capabilities at the time, they began to fuel all of this. And
Right.
So the Democratic Party, and I'm not speaking for them, but it's obvious what they did. They felt as though, because of the fallout from that debate, that the best chance for the Democratic Party to have in this election was to put Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. Now, wait a minute. Let me get this. Now, understand. For me watching it, it was sad to see that happen on that particular stage. It was sad to see a man who had given his life to politics for so long. I don't know everything about Joe Biden or what he did or whatnot, but the man had been in public office for a long time. And I don't know a tremendous amount about Joe. I've heard some things. I heard him when he said, if you're not, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. I didn't like that. So he's not like my favorite politician of all time. But it was sad in itself to see a human being be devoured as he was. I mean, and the media ate him alive. And for the Democratic Party, it was almost like, this whole election thing, this whole leadership thing, Republicans versus Democrat, who's going to lead the country and all this. Everybody has an agenda. Everybody has an agenda that they want to promote, and that agenda usually speaks to their constituents. Republicans have the citizens who are registered Republicans, who want things, and most of them are conservative. And for a lot of our listeners who don't understand what being a conservative citizen is, it's you want to conserve, you want to keep, meaning you don't want to share. You want to keep what you have, and this could be whether with your own people, citizens, or with the rest of the world. But conservatives, most of them feel as though they don't want to share what they have. Whereas Democrats feel as though, for the most part, everybody should have a share. Now, notice I didn't say fair share. Okay, because, but they feel as though everybody should have a share, more so than the conservatives. Now, I get it. They're devil in the details of both. But back to when you decide to not vote, and I get it. I understand that when elections don't go a certain way, that we all have some type of feelings about it. But when you remove yourself from the equation, how is it that you, and this is just for me, and how can you continue to complain when you had an opportunity to do something about it, but you didn't?
You know what? I hear that all the time, and it's just like they say, I'm allowed to do that. I live in America, so I'm allowed to have an opinion whether I vote or not. But let me back up a little bit. Let me back up a little bit. Now, I respect everything you say, and I'm taking it in and taking it as you say it. I just want to throw a couple of things out there. I also kind of influenced, as far as the way I vote. What party ratified the 13th, the 14th, 15th Amendment?
What's that again?
What party passed the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment?
I do not know.
Republican Party.
Okay.
What party started the KKK?
I don't know.
Democratic Party.
Okay.
So, going back in history and looking at all this stuff and going forward, I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute, hold up. We're going back for all this debate. The party that I'm being condemned of not voting for started the very thing that we're trying to avoid. So why would I vote for a party that started the very thing that we're trying to avoid? So now they say, well, no, it doesn't turn around. And a lot of people hear a lot of stuff on social media and outside talking about Republican Party is for, they hate black people, they hate this, they hate that. And then I'm like, well, okay, but what about Democratic Party? Oh no, they love black people. I voted coming up. All I heard was if you black, vote Democrat. That's all I heard my whole life. Vote black, vote Democrat. Bill Clinton came up. Black people love Bill Clinton. Why? He balanced the budget. He did a lot of things for black people. Everybody loved him. The economy was good, jobs were plentiful, everything. So everybody loved him. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's correct. But then 94 crime bill comes up. Yours truly is the one that sponsored it. Why you sponsor a crime bill that locked up a lot of black people?
I think you have a valid point, Jay.
Then I'm saying, then also, now push forward. With that crime bill, it goes years and years and years. People locked up. A lot of black people got locked up. Okay, now, fast forward to when Trump's first term, he passed the First Step Act. That allowed a lot of them black people that got locked up in '94 to get out early on crimes that they got committed for. So I'm like, wait a minute. If this man is racist and he's black people, why is he doing stuff to get black people out of jail? A lot of people don't understand. They don't want to research. They go by exactly what people say. And they don't do research. I research who started this, who started that. Democratic Party started all of the stuff we're trying to go against. So why would I want to vote for that? Now, I can take it even further. Okay? Now, I'm gonna take it even further. I'm gonna tread lightly on what I'm gonna say because I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot.
No, don't tread lightly. Put them on the spot.
Okay, well, this welfare that came out. Okay, what's the narrative of welfare? Okay, if you want benefits, you have to get rid of the man in the household. A lot of women that crept into the black people in the black party. Okay, you got a lot of and white people they are on welfare as well, but predominantly a lot of black people are. Well, from the black families that I've seen, they all had single mother without a father. What are they getting? They're getting benefits from the government. Where's the man at? He's gone. If he comes back, they take the benefits away. So then you don't tore the black family up for these benefits. So it's either the black man coming in with a stable family or the benefits. So that tears the black family up, which means they don't have a stable family, a stable household for the child to go with a 2-parent household. I'm like, I said tread lightly is because I don't want somebody thinking that I'm ragging on single parents or single female parents or whatever in saying that. I'm just saying that's the reality of it. That's what I've experienced. That's what I've seen.
Jeff, I'm going to let you. We're going to have to take a quick break, okay? Mm-hmm. Because I'm pretty sure you've got some people charged up here.
Yeah, okay? Of course. Yeah, I know.
So we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. This is the Facebook challenge, or the Facebook feud, however you call it. This is Jim Rico with the Forecast with our special guest, Def Jeff. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the show. This is Jim Rico with the Forecast, your stroked out host. Thank you guys for joining us today. Got something special today for you. I'm labeling it. I'm making up the name as we actually go in. I'm calling it the Facebook Challenge. In the studio today, we have Def Jeff. Jeff was one of the contributors to my to my mini post on Facebook, and some of them I was like, what is this guy talking about? So I sent an invitation out to Jeff. I said, hey, would you like to come in and, lay down some audio with me and let's talk about some of these things? And to my surprise, he agreed. So Def Jeff is in the studio. And Jeff, I just want to tell you thank you so much for being here. And right now, before we went to break, we were talking about welfare. We were talking about politics. We were talking about the parties. And before I turn it back over to you, Jeff, I just want to say this, okay? A couple of things. The first and foremost thing, African Americans, black people, make up less than 15% of this country's population.
Right.
Okay? There are more people that are non-black on welfare in America.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Let me finish. Okay? This is a fact. I'm not stating opinion.
Okay.
This is a fact.
Okay.
However, there seems to be the idea that black people, the majority of people on welfare are African Americans, which is not true. Okay? That is a myth. And because black people only represent a percentage, less than 15% of the country's population, it is not possible that the majority of blacks can be on welfare. Now, here's also another fact. African Americans, although they are less than 15% of the population, they are the majority of our prison populations.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct.
Now, I don't want to start a black and white thing because that's not the idea of the show. The idea of the show is to make people want to talk about these things amongst themselves,
right,
because we have so many myths that have been perpetuated, okay? And if we never discuss them, then we never find out the truth.
Right.
We never find out the truth. Now, what you told me earlier, and going back to what you said about who passed the 13th and 14th Amendment. So historically, back in the day, way back in the day, the platforms for Democrats and Republicans were completely flipped. Okay? Republicans were the Republic. Okay? The Republicans were the northern states, okay, versus the southern Democratic states.
Right.
Now, I don't want to go into this too much detail because I have a show that's coming up and we're going to talk about this in detail.
The historical and cultural distinctions between the northern and southern states of the United States
see
are
that?
deep-rooted
You know what?
and continue to influence the
You see
nation
what?
today.
That right
Here's
there?
a breakdown of some key differences.
You see that right there? Now, see, that's something I don't like. And I'm so glad that happened on this show. This AI, artificial intelligence. And you see how AI, now, wait a minute. Let's be real, okay?
Yeah.
We're sitting here having a discussion, and the phone is listening, and it picked up on something that I said, and then it wanted to offer its opinion. Now, we're talking about stuff that happened years and years ago. AI is new on the scene like the last 25, 30 years. And look how advanced this technology has gotten. This technology can listen to what you're saying and then give its opinion. So this AI thing for me is kind of scary. So, and the fact that the government wants AI to teach our children, AKA your president wants to teach our children through AI, that is really scary, because whoever is feeding the beast or feeding the machine or putting the cards in, it's going to spit out that, So like you said, who ratified the 13th and 14th Amendment? Well, back in the day, absolutely. It was the Democrats. But the Republicans, excuse me, you're right, the Republicans. But what happened with that shift, with the whole American Revolution, right? The whole American Revolution, where the South versus the North, there's a reason the South does not trust the government, because the Northerners, and we're really going to talk about this. We're really going to talk about this because it has to be talked about. So
for you, I just want to say this, okay? Everything we talk about on here is for the show. This is not personally how we like. This is, don't define me as a person. Don't define you as a person. This is what your opinion is. I can't say you're a bad person because you like Democrat Party or I like some views of the Republican Party. We both respect each other, and far as we have on our it doesn't define us as personal people. So
but we are going to discuss fact between fact and fiction.
Oh yeah,
fiction.
Yo, definitely.
Okay.
We can definitely do that. I'm off. I just want everybody to know that this doesn't define me as a person. I'll give you the shirt off my back. I'm a good person. I will do what I can to help you to get ahead in life. And people just misconstrue because you like Trump. For some of his views, you're a bad person. No, I'm actually here to try to help you. I want to help you do some things like to help your life advance. We'll talk about that a little bit later on, but that's what my focus is.
Okay, all right. So, but what I really want to do is, you're right. You know what, Jeff? You are absolutely right. You go ahead. Because what I do want to say this, there are good people and there are evil people in the world. Mm-hmm. Every day is a struggle between good and evil for all of us. Every day. And you can say evil is a bad word, and it is. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, if we're treating each other the way we want to be treated, then life is good. But we aren't treating each other the way we want to be treated. We aren't.
No, we're not.
We aren't treating each other the way we want to be treated. Now, you're talking about, and I'm just bringing up this point about immigrants shouldn't have the right to come into this country to get this, to get that. Are you aware?
Yes, I'm aware. I know.
Wait a minute. Are you aware that immigrants were brought into this country
I hear that.
by whom?
I hear
that. The border was opened years ago.
I hear that.
Because
I hear that all the time. Yes,
because there was a certain segment of our American citizens who felt as though picking cotton, picking fruit, working the fields was beneath them. And I'm not going to say who that was. I believe the young senator from Texas is being ostracized right now because she said that black people weren't going back to picking cotton anymore. And I believe she's being ostracized, and I think they're trying to censure her right now. But here's the thing. Do you remember when the Spanish language or signs in Spanish began to populate everyday places, common areas like bathrooms? Do you remember that back in the late 80s?
Yes.
Okay, so who was in charge of that? I mean, these weren't private companies that were putting up Spanish signs. This was the government.
Yeah.
This was the government doing that.
Yeah,
and see, a lot of people aren't aware that we're talking about this border crisis or everything, that we opened the border because we needed people to come in. See, years ago, all right, this country, and we have to do our history. Now, I'm talking about fact, not fiction. Mm-hmm. But this country isn't that old. Mm-hmm. This country is not that old. This country's official birth date is 1776, but this country had started before then. Just like a baby takes 9 months to form before it's born, before its birthday, this country had started to form before that. And this country was formed, and its wealth was built off of one industry, cotton.
Right.
This country exported cotton to every other country in the world, and it made this country rich. It made the Southerners rich. But the Northerners, who built the universities, okay, they took the industrial approach. They figured out how we could take the cotton, manufacture it. Southerners didn't care about manufacturing. All they cared about was picking it, growing it and picking it. Okay, growing it and picking it. Well, they would export this cotton up to the north, and they would turn it into this, turn it into that, or they would export it to other countries and allow them to do that. We've had a relationship with China for hundreds of years. We've had a relationship with them. This is not fiction. This is fact.
Right.
Okay, because of cotton. Okay? Now, when the rest of the world abolished slavery, guess who the only country that was still in business? The United States of America. The United States of America was the last country to abolish slavery, and for whatever reasons, our leaders or our forefathers decided that, it was good. They built the country, right? They built the country. They built all this wealth up. How do you think Fort Knox has so much gold? Because the American dollar, when cotton became the staple, when cotton became the number one staple, okay, it wasn't no longer the British pound. It wasn't the ruble or all these. No, if you wanted to do business with America, then you had to send gold over here, and then we would give you some American dollars. That's how the dollar got built. That's how it got. Confederate money was no longer. This is why the South doesn't trust the North, because the North screwed the South. The North took the South everything. They took away how they earned money. They took away their property and everything, and the Southerners got nothing in return. Now, you fast forward 100 years later to where the South is still the most prominent agricultural place in America. Is, everywhere from Tennessee down, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, textiles and all that. What did we do? We sent all those jobs where? To Africa. Because the idea was that we were going to train our own workers in how to be the leaders of the new world in technology and whatnot. But the South got screwed again because that was a big lie. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and see you opened up Pandora's box, because this is not something I wanted to talk about. Because there's so many different layers to this.
Yeah, but we can we can transition to something else.
Yeah, we're going to have to transition, because this will turn into a 4-hour show.
Yeah, we can talk about this all day.
Yeah, we sure can.
I won't do that. I will talk about other topics. So.
Yeah, we're going to come back. This is the Forecast with Jim Rico. I'm here with our studio guest, Def Jeff. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be right back. Stay tuned.
You can literally talk about that all day.
All day.
If you had an open thing where listeners could call in, your phone would be blowing up right now.
All right. Welcome back to the Forecast with your host, Jim Rico, and our special studio guest, Def Jeff. I think we all needed that break. And let me just say this coming out of the break, I do not own the rights to any of the music that you hear in this show. But Jeff did it. I was trying to not take the bait, but Jeff threw me the bait, and I jumped right into it. So we're gonna pull back. That's the one thing about that's the one thing about doing something live, unedited, unscripted. You never know where this is going to take you.
That's why I like it. That's real and authentic.
I appreciate you bringing that up, Jeff, because but we don't have enough time in this one show segment to be able to talk about all of those issues that you brought up. So let's just take a complete shift. All right? We're gonna put politics on the back burner for now.
Okay, that's fine. We can do that.
Because we'll revisit that another day. So I understand that you're a football coach.
Yes, I am.
And you're a national championship coach as well.
Yeah, actually, 3-time national champion.
3-time national champion. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you basically take youth, and you guys travel the country.
Yes.
And you guys. So here's the thing that I'm asking. Youth football is that big?
Yes, youth football is very big. They have a very big platform for youngsters to go out and showcase their talents. It's the term is all over the United States. Right now, it's like every year in December they have national championships down in Florida. They have them in Texas. They have them in Georgia, California, all over the place. And it's a matter of getting into the tournaments and going out and letting the kids play in them. And the thing is, it's a lot of teams go there because they want to win. I want to go there for the experience for the kids. to give them an experience that they'll never forget, to carry on to the next sport or whatever they're gonna do in life. And you go down and you win, that's even better. But I work with and me being a football coach is more than about being a football coach. I've been a mentor, being a role model for these kids as well. Show that they can do something, they can go somewhere and do something without being out in the streets. It keeps them out of the streets, getting in trouble, and it motivates them to do something other than just wanting to hang out and do the wrong thing.
I played youth football growing up, much to the disgust of my mother. She did not think that I should have played. I was an asthmatic kid and a little scrawny. Oh, he's going to get hurt. Oh. But I was able to play youth football, and I will tell you that I played for the local PAL league, and back in the day it was called Police Athletic League.
PAL. Yeah.
Yep, PAL, and we had literally cleats. We literally had cleats. I remember,
wow.
I don't think we got our pads until maybe a week before our first game. I mean, it was underfunded, but we got picked up in the afternoons at the public library at the corner of Beatty's-Ford and LaSalle Street, and they took us over to Piedmont traditional school, and we practiced on the field, which was right in front of Jack's Bakery.
Yeah,
and
exactly what I said.
We would practice over there, and the smells from the cookies that were baked would emanate over the field while we were practicing. And on sometimes we even went down, and they would give us free cookies. But being out there, to your point, being out there with those policemen, and back in the day, these were actual policemen who were the coaches.
Right.
I remember Officer Hood. I remember Officer Garnett. Officer, I can't remember his name. He was a mean guy. But to your point, these were our mentors. And growing up as a young African American, whereas the police, well, let me just say this. Now, I don't know what young kids think of the police, but back then, growing up, our first contacts with the police were good. These were our mentors. These were the guys who we looked up to. We did not know anything about blacks being killed in the street because these guys, we knew that they were really police officers and they were taking their time out to help teach us something, and we were good.
Right.
We were good. I mean, even though we didn't have shit, once we got on the field and we kicked ass. I mean, we kicked ass. And it was our first exposure with working together in a team environment, a team atmosphere. I remember the rides on the bus going to the different games, and we would be singing our songs and patting our pads, and the closer we got, the louder we became. It was just the most wonderful thing. And, you didn't forget about what you didn't have. You didn't forget about that everybody didn't have matching cleats, or everybody didn't have jerseys with their numbers on the back, or even you didn't think about that you were practicing and you were playing in the same pants that you practiced in. It was just about being there in the moment. And honestly, I wish that experience for every young boy in America, that they could somehow experience that now. So what you're doing right now, it is huge. It is huge for the community, and I just want to applaud you and thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. I like to say, I also want to caveat on that is that a lot of kids look at football coaches more than football coaches. Some of them don't have a father. They look at them as fathers. And I got personal relationship with kids that's up under me right now, that I go pick them up for practice, they have a bad day, I sit down and talk to them, talk to the parents, see what's going on. See if there's anything I can do to help, because they look at me as a role model. If anything, I actually went and picked up a kid. He saw me rolling up. I stopped the truck. He jumped in the truck. His mom didn't know where he was at. She was running around the neighborhood panicking, thinking somebody had kidnapped him. I bring him back home. She said, "Where you been?" I said, "Don't get mad at him. He saw me. He jumped in the truck with me. I was his coach. His first thing, hey, that's my coach. I'm safe to get in the truck with him." And we went to practice. So his mom's, okay, yeah, you're right. So I've also been picked up kids where they had serious problems in the house. Father done abused the child or whatever like that. I'm figuring out how what's and at that time football goes out the window. I'm figuring out what's best for this kid to get him back to where he needs to be. I could care less about football at the time. And kids, they remember that. They remember how the coach was there for them in a personal situation or something like that. And when they get older, you're like, well, I don't want to play for nobody other than Coach such and such. Why? Well, he was there for me during this time. Well, we got a better team. Well, he has my best interest at heart. He knows, and I trust him. And those relationships last a lifetime. It's not just about when you're playing for them. I get my gratification out of do football and to build a relationship with these kids. And when they've gone to other teams, calling me and telling me how they're doing, how I'm doing, they want to play for me again, and how their life is going. I'm glad to have that kind of impact on you. And it's funny how I went to an All-Star game, and we picked the people to be on the team. And I never remember a lot of coaches that didn't even know me. And I would walk around, and all the kids would call my name. And she said, you know, it's funny how all these kids know your name. I said, but they don't know my name. I said, some of these kids I don't even know. The kids I didn't even know knew what my name was, when they saw me. I was like, well, that's the kind of impact you have on kids. Everybody knows who I am, but they don't know who all the other coaches are. So at times, I understand. At times, I felt like walking away quick because mentally, it's drained mentally. I said, I don't know how much more I can take of this. And I would talk to certain people I talked to and said, no, you need to keep going. The kids need you. The kids need you. And I keep holding on every year. I keep holding on. I'm gonna give it up. Nope. Come, next season ends and I'm right back in it again. So honestly, I don't know when I'm gonna stop. I don't know if I ever will stop doing it. But when I finally do, it'll be at a point where I know that these kids are good and they can move on to higher realms of football or sports and know that I've set a good foundation for them for when they go forward. So, I've been retired. I've been 10 years retired now, and that's the thing that I do that keeps my mind right. It gives me something to do when I get out of the house. So, I'm enjoying doing it.
Well, Jeff, I know I can speak for some of the parents who are probably not even listening to the show, but what you're doing and how you're giving back to the community is a tremendous blessing. Because although most of these kids probably will never set a foot on an NFL field in their lives, what you're teaching them now, they will remember for the rest of their lives, just as I remember my youth and my first experience with those coaches. And just because you're a coach out there doesn't mean that you're going to have an impact, because just like you said, some of the other ones don't even remember the names. Heck, I remember when I got to middle school and one of my coaches was trying to date my mom, like this fool wasn't even trying to do coaching, he was just trying to, how's your pretty mama doing? I'm like, you're 13, 14 years old. This guy's asking about your mom. No wonder we lost every freaking football. So, but all jokes aside, what you're doing, especially for our youth, and I have a special place in my heart for African American youth, because growing up without fathers as I did, fathers being in your life visibly, it definitely takes away something from you. It limits your growth. Sports has a way of being an equalizer, because you can learn something that you didn't think you could learn through just being involved with other people and watching them do those same things. And it helps you, well, if they can do it, I can do it. And if you have the right coach will encourage you and will push you to doing those things that you didn't think they were doing. So you're absolutely right. You're not only a dad, you're not only a mentor. I mean, you're everything. So that's great. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back, and we're going to continue on with the show. You're listening to the Fordcast with Jim Rico, and just to let everyone know, I do not own the rights to any of the music that you hear, but we'll be right back.
So I'm enjoying this.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back to the Fordcast with Jim Rico. Again, I do not own the rights to any of this bomb music that you guys are listening to. We're here with our studio guest, Coach Def Jeff. We've been talking about politics. We've been talking about coaching. We've been talking about the origins of the Democratic and Republican parties. Jeff, we talked about a lot today.
Yeah, we sure did. We got a lot of. I'm glad I came on the show. I was a little skeptical for a while. I'm wondering what we're gonna talk about. And just to let everybody know, this is my first podcast I ever did in my entire life. So, thank you for having me on the show.
And I appreciate you being here. It is my honor. Do you know how hard it is to get somebody to sit in that little corner over there?
Oh, really?
It's a tight corner.
Oh, wow.
But I really appreciate you being here, Jeff. And just, keep on pushing back on my Facebook posts.
Oh,
so
I want to say, look, like I said, I love it when you post. I say, oh, I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna post it. It motivates me. I be trying my best not to respond. I said, nah, I got to respond this. But you inspire me to talk. I'll get quiet. You post something, I got to speak on that. So, keep doing what you're doing. Like I said, this is all it's all in good fun, all in good, respectful dialogue.
I agree.
It's never personal. I don't hate you. You don't hate me. Respectful dialogue.
Only problem I have with what you're saying is fun, because I am not here to entertain anyone.
I want to back up. I ain't say fun, but what I said it's just it gives me something to talk about.
Right. That's exactly exactly it. Because if you want to hear entertainment, go listen to those other podcasts. I'm not here to entertain. I'm not here to play music that you like. I'm here to do exactly that, to make you want to go talk about it, because we don't talk enough. We don't talk enough. There's so many things that are put in between us to keep us from talking with one another, that it's really ridiculous, because at the end of the day, we all, and I just got to understand this, when you think about everybody out there, everybody wants a good life. Everybody wants to be happy. Mm-hmm. Everybody wants to be treated fairly.
Right.
These are not things, these are these inalienable rights that the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights gives us.
Right.
And for some reason, there's pushback against that. Like, who deserves this? Who deserves that? Like, why is that even a conversation? We're all human. We're all human. And to bring it home, we're all Americans. We should be taking care of Americans. I was reading this article the other day about the wastewater in Alabama, where the new administration, through its DEI cuts, cut off funding for fixing a situation where raw sewage was coming into these people in Alabama's yards, and they had known about it for over 30 some years. And because the Department of Alabama did nothing about it, that the Department of Justice sued, and the government started funneling money to help fix this problem, but now it's been cut. So you're telling me that we have Americans that should have to walk around in their front yard with raw sewage, hookworms and stuff? I mean, stuff like that.
Funny you say that. I saw an article just today that the airlines now have passed not a law, but passed a rule upon the airlines, and it came up on an article that now they're saying that they're putting a dress code for flying on the aircraft now, for commercial airlines, a dress code.
A dress code. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I can pull it up on my phone.
Wow.
Yeah, I just saw it on the airlines. Said that they came up with a rule now to where, that when you travel on these aircraft, certain attire they can deem inappropriate.
So what? No more Crocs, or whatever.
Man, it's just I was reading. I just shook my head. I said, "Man, what is it?"
I mean, when you go in the airport,
the Sprint airline done cut off the free baggage.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean,
I'm sorry, Southwest Airlines.
Okay. I mean, I get it. I'm not a frequent flyer, but whenever I need to go somewhere and I don't want to drive, I will fly. And I've seen how some people dress on the airlines, and they look like they're chilling. They look like they're comfortable and whatnot. Now, me personally, when I go out, I want to look some kind of way. I want to be comfortable, but hey, I might, get my 5 minutes of fame while I'm out there at the airport. Yeah. I might run into whoever.
Yeah, I'll find that article and I'll send it to you just so you can see it, because it's not something I'm making up. I actually saw it on the phone. I'm like, wow, this is crazy here. So. But I mean, the world is just changing. It's like I've even considered leaving the United States.
There are a lot of folks doing that.
I'm telling you, I'm considering it.
I've been hearing or reading about a lot of celebrities that have already done so. What's the young lady who did the modeling, Tyra Banks? She lives in Australia now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Richard Gere. There's Tina Turner left before she passed. I mean, there's so many people. And I hate that, because for those of us who love this country and want to be here, and this is how I'm going to turn this back on you, Jay. We have to do more for our country.
Right.
And as an American citizens, it is a duty. It is a duty. Not just a right, it's a duty to vote. It's a duty to vote. And when we don't vote, when we silence ourselves, we're not only silencing our own voice, but we're also silencing the votes of other people who matter.
Right.
Because throughout their hard work, and I'm talking about those people who died to get people signed up to vote in the South in the late 60s, those people who were murdered or who went missing, not just blacks, but white folks too. Mm-hmm. I mean, you think about the movie Mississippi Burning, those 3 civil rights workers who were murdered just for signing people up to vote. I mean, just signing people up to vote. There is a faction of American society that understands that if certain people don't vote, then certain other people are left to make all of the policies and changes. Right. And if that message doesn't start filtering down to our youth and filtering out to everybody understanding that, me personally, I think honestly that if you don't vote, you should be fined. I think there should be some type of fine on your taxes. If you don't vote, you should be fined.
Well, they got it on the health insurance. You don't have health insurance, you get fined.
Well, exactly. I mean, they talking about IDs and, requiring vote ID. If it's so important, if it's that big, then everybody who doesn't vote, they need to be penalized. You should have it taken away. You don't get a refund if you don't vote because you didn't do what your duty was. Mm-hmm. So, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people are not going to like that either, and I could care less.
yeah, same here. Like I said, all the opinions, everything you said, I agree with it. Like I said, we have a difference of opinion, but I respect how you feel and what you say. And honestly, here. Everything you said to me has kind of got me to think, got my mind going kind of thinking or whatever. So who knows? This time next year, I'll be done changed. Yeah, I did actually vote this year, so this is how I voted and why I voted. But like I said, it's just, I've dealt with guys that's independent voters. Hey, who'd you vote for? Well, I'm independent. So did you vote? Did you not vote? Well, I'm independent. Well, but if you say that you Democrat, or if you say you Republican, but you're independent. So, I mean, which one did you do? So I've ran on people on Facebook and physically, I've ran into people like that.
My sister is a registered Republican.
Really?
Yes, she is. My sister is and proud of it. She's
I can only imagine the conversations y'all be having.
We don't. Oh, okay. We do not talk about politics. She's the baby sister, so I'll let her have that. But again, it is a free country, and everybody should be able to express their opinion about everything freely, which is why I'm totally against shutting down universities, clipping free speech.
I don't agree with none of that.
I mean, when you do that, it's almost like when you're trying to control how people discuss things or how people learn, it's almost like you're trying to keep people dumb. You're trying to keep them in the dark. And if everything you're doing is on the up and up, why would you want to keep people in the dark? And this last thing, we're going to have to get out of here, Jeff, but this country is a country of immigrants.
Right.
Immigrants and slaves and Native Americans. Mm-hmm. That's what this country is. Mm-hmm. A country of Native Americans, immigrants, and slaves. Mm-hmm. And for 400 years, we've been teeter-tottering on the brink of being successful. Mm-hmm. And every time that teeter totters towards success, there's something that teeters us back to where we're against one another. Mm-hmm. And I just wish and I hope that, my kids at least will be able to see it to where we're all, just kind of one day working towards that one common goal. And that common goal is to make America great again.
Right.
Not some Americans, but make America great again. Right. Because America was made great. You're right. America was once great. Mm-hmm. But how we got to be great, there are a lot of different opinions about that, but there's only one factual way that America became great, and that was because America became the king of cotton to the world. And that's where we got all of our money from, and that's what got everything going. So anyway, Jeff, I just want to appreciate you for being here on the show. Thank you very much. And we're going to have you back. Would you come back?
I'm definitely will be back to the show. Definitely. You tell me the date and the time, it works out. I'm here. I'm off. You done motivated me now, so.
I want you here. This is our Facebook challenge.
All right, cool. Yeah.
If you guys are just coming in to tail end of the show, Jeff was my Facebook friend who would literally drive me nuts with his responses to my post, and I had to reach out to him to ask him to join me on the show, and it's been a pleasure having you, Jeff.
Real quick, I want everybody. I make a cameo appearance in the movie called The 24th. I'm an extra. Opening credits. Watch Trey Byers when they show his picture in the opening credits. You might see somebody's face.
Okay. And the name of the movie again is?
It's called The 24th.
The 24th. All right. So everybody, y'all check out Def Jeff. Look for him in the movie The 24th. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations. So is that your first movie?
Yes.
So you got your first movie, check, and your first podcast, check.
Yep.
You're well on your way.
Definitely.
Thanks, everybody, for joining the Forecast with Jim Rico. Again, I do not own the rights to any of the music that you heard on this show. I appreciate you all. Have a great week, and I love you. Jeff, that was awesome, man.
Man, you done motivated me. You don't know what you just did. Hey, man, get back.